name is Abner de la Rosa. I'm from Guatemala. My grade is sophomore. Daniel Guzman. I'm from Mexico. My grade is freshman.
My name is Marisol Estrada. I am from Chihuahua. I am a junior and I have 17 years.
Hi, my name is Sangyal. I'm from Korea and my grade is junior.
My name is Matt Thomas. I've been teaching here at Alameda High School for 4 years. This is my 4th year, and I started teaching ESL or science this year. And we actually started to co-teach. My first semester, I was teaching with Shani Shirazi, and she was a paraprofessional, so she helped me out in class. The second semester, I was able to teach with Andrew Bucher. And he's a co-teacher. He's actually the ESL teacher at Alameda High School. One separate ESL Earth Science course. And what was done was 13 students got placed into that particular course.
With a population of ELLs at 37% in 2008, there's always going to be at least one ESL class in 9th grade Earth Science.
These 13 students, which approximately 8 of them are non-English proficient NEP students. They are very low proficient in the English language. So what's neat about it is they can actually still take Earth Science, and we just change the curriculum a little bit and just modify how we teach them in the ESL class to make sure that they can understand what they're supposed to learn. Everything that we do is really structured around the vocabulary. What you're going to see now is an introduction to the first semester vocabulary lesson. This is an example of the vocabulary log that we use in first semester, where the students had to write the word, the definition that we would help them with, and then they'd have to draw a picture. And I would draw a picture of, Alfred Wegener with his. This is an example of the vocabulary quiz we would give during first semester. They had 3 of these quizzes for us to assess how well they were comprehending the vocabulary. It was given to them during the beginning of a unit, and then we would support it with all sorts of different labs and activities and assignments, and then we would give them the quiz that would look like this. We've had some problems with vocabulary with the students comprehending them in the first semester. This is the semester 1 Earth Science ESL quiz scores for our vocabulary that we gave each week. We had 3 different quizzes we gave. The first one was difficult for the students, so none of them did it very well at all. But the other ones are a little bit more accurate. The total out of the average of all of the scores for these 4 students was 40%. And we thought they could improve a little bit on that, so that's why we decided to change things a little bit with using podcasts for the second semester.
The first time that we tried this activity, the students really didn't know what was going on. They just looked at the words, and we did labs and other activities in the classroom that supported the vocabulary, and then at the end of the week they would have a quiz, and the quiz scores weren't showing comprehension. I think it helps them to speak the words, to actually retain them, and just looking at the words, sometimes they don't even really understand what they're writing. After a few weeks we started implementing more use of spoken word in the classroom. What we've talked about is having them speak them more. So if we could make flashcards and have them talk with each other, or maybe speak into a laptop and listen to themselves speak it and other students, or even just talk about it with
So the second semester, we decided to use more spoken word, where we're making the students speak out what our vocabulary words are. And we use a laptop for them to create a podcast, where then they have to listen to it, and they also have to listen to others, and they're evaluating, so they're hearing it over and over again. And they're forced to speak it, where lots of non-English proficient students don't like to speak the English language for various types of reasons. Okay, now what you're going to see is the semester 2 vocabulary lesson, and you should notice how different the lesson is as we have each student create their own podcast. So this should help improve the vocabulary content comprehension for the quiz scores. This is an example of the vocabulary log we use for second semester. The only difference is that we added a sentence where they had to create their own sentence about the word. Then they had to kind of obviously know the definition, and they needed to include the picture as well.
This is a new vocabulary worksheet modified from the previous one. As you can see, there's a sentence box.
It was one of our old vocabulary words last time.
As you can see, that this is how the vocabulary log worksheet is being used. We're discussing a vocabulary word called convection currents. Here you can see many of the students using their vocabulary worksheet to write down some of the definitions and pictures that I'm drawing down on the smartboard. We just had demonstrated a convection current aquarium, and I am drawing it in the box provided to give them an example of what I expect them to draw on the rest of the vocabulary words. The next step for the students is to write their sentences out, and they had to read them to the class, like Abner.
The movie always was like
Divergent.
The students would pick up a laptop after they wrote their sentences out, and they would use this sound recorder on each laptop, which would have an internal microphone. As you can see, Carolina and I are working on it right here. Each student will also have a USB memory stick that we give them for them to use to save their stuff on.
Vocabulary set number 2. Vocabulary word number 2.
Here you see Alexica starting her podcast on her vocabulary words. What you can notice here is that she made a mistake and she went back to fix it, and she's retrying it again.
Vocabulary set number 2. Vocabulary word number 2.
As Alexica continues to work on hers, we will notice here and listen here that other people are working and attempting to say the vocabulary words correctly, like Marisol here.
This is the evaluation sheet that we use. After the students would do the podcasts, they would have to listen to their self-evaluation and do their self-evaluation on pronunciation, definition accuracy, sentence accuracy, and volume. And they also had to do, they had to listen to 2 other students' podcasts and actually do their own evaluation on their sheets as well, and then I would evaluate them. This is the vocabulary quiz that we gave for semester 2. It's a little bit different. We decided to keep the same kind of format with the word bank, but we added fill in the blanks, and we also added writing your own sentence using one of the 2 words above, so giving them a choice. So we felt that this would better suit the ESL NEP's available language. This is the semester 2 Earth Science ESL quiz scores, and if you notice we have the same 4 students and we have 3 quizzes again that we use, but this time was a little bit different. They had to make the sentence on the vocabulary log, and they had to make their podcast. And we noticed scores were a little bit better. Their average percentage, and as overall, they almost averaged 80% out of all the quizzes that we took on the second semester with the different format. So the experience that we had with vocabulary, trying to improve the content vocabulary and their comprehension of it through this entire year has been an interesting voyage. The podcasts that we had them do in the second semester, you could tell the difference in the scores, how the vocabulary quiz scores increased the second semester. It was amazing to see how technology, just the use of technology, like the use of the laptop to make a podcast, clearly increased their participation, their oral participation with the English language. You know, we structured it, we made them focus onto the vocabulary to speak into these laptops and using the language, where before they weren't really using it that much. They just learned it, wrote it down, and then, you know, in the labs and activities it was assumed that they were going to use the language, but they never did. And now, the second semester, they were forced to use the language, and they ended up opening up more. They started participating in class because they had said the words before, and they had heard them before, and you know, they started recognizing them because they were familiar with it. So the technology piece was a big part of it, and focusing on the vocabulary is very important to really open the door for them to understand the rest of the science content. This ESL class I'm teaching is actually a combined effort, a collaboration of numerous teachers here at Alameda. Jody Ramos, that teaches her science, Andrew Bucher, Shani Shirazi, Diana Biabau, Steve Howard is an instructional coach. So all these people worked with me together to kind of create what this project turned out to be.
The way that we're doing this activity is almost kind of similar to a scaffold, providing steps and little increment, little baby steps along the way.
Like, what would be the first step?
Well, first, introduce a vocabulary word. And instead of just saying, here's the word, kids, good luck to you, we go over a definition with the kids, with the class, and then we create a picture with the class. And then sometimes we give them the sentence, sometimes we have them construct their own sentences. And
But that doesn't end there, right?
it doesn't end there. It just keeps on going. That's what's so great about it. After that, they take it and, like, the recording,
Let's just practice.
an audio file in which they read the definition, they read the word, they read the sentence, and it's not even done yet.
And then they listen to it.
And they listen to it, and we listen to it.